All right, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran, and thank you so much for watching the show, for listening, however you are consuming this. I truly do appreciate you guys very much. Today's show is presented by the law offices of William Mattar. Heard of the car? Call William Mattar, 444-4444. Call William Mattar today to get the compensation that you deserve. This is actually a little bit of a milestone episode here for us at Talking Buffalo, episode 1200, our Tuesday podcast. And I'm joined for the first time in a hot minute, man. Good buddy of mine over at the Buffalo Sports Collective, PK, man. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Well, officially, congratulations on 1,200 episodes.
Thank you.
Massive milestone. I know we were talking briefly before we started recording, but huge accomplishment. Absolutely astonishing how many episodes you've gone through.
Appreciate that, man. You guys got a nice little streak going over there at Buffalo Sports Collective yourself. You were telling me you're near 400 episodes, right?
400 in like two and a half weeks, something like that. Yeah, it's
a good accomplishment,
come a little
man.
Longer to get there since we dropped down to one show in the summers, but that was the best decision we ever made.
Sometimes I wish we only had one show. It'd be a lot easier. But anyway, for everyone out there, if you missed yesterday's show, I had Joe from Queens on. We were live after the Bills-Bengals game, which we'll spend a lot of time going over some of our biggest. I got my seven biggest Buffalo Bills takeaways from that game on Sunday that I'm going to talk with PK about. We'll get to some other stuff as well. But if you happen to miss yesterday's show and we're wondering what the hell was going on last week, I got sick last week, PK. We haven't talked. So I actually caught COVID. I thought that was a thing of the past. Maybe it's not, I guess. So I had it kind of knocked me out for 3 or 4 days, and I missed 3 episodes, which is the first time. Some health luck, I guess, or I don't know. I don't miss shows, dude. And I missed 3 consecutive shows last week. It's first time in over 4 years since I moved back to Buffalo in 2021 that I just didn't have any energy and I wasn't feeling good. So anyway.
I saw you watching Parks and Rec.
I binged. It might be, if there's a silver lining. Joe had no interest in hearing this on the show yesterday. I'll tell you in the audience real quick, and then we're going to dive into this episode. At the risk of some people bitching at me, I don't know how often you get comments, PK, when somebody will say something to you negative. I always say the more negative shit that people start talking about you in the podcast, the more you know that you're resonating with people. But without fail, when I start talking about anything other than Bills or Sabres from minute 1 to the very last minute, oh, nobody cares about your life. We talk sports. We're done. Unsubscribe. Whatever. I don't care.
We had somebody complain that we were talking too much about Phil's upcoming wedding.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you talk about your partner's upcoming wedding? What the hell is the matter with you? Look, man.
Yeah, our response was we put the time descriptions in the episode for a reason. If you want to not listen to that, just skip where we tell you to.
Good for you on doing the extra work. I ain't doing that. I'm not even going to do that. If people tune into this show, I feel like they know by now, well, they should, that this at times could be a conversational type of podcast. I bring people inside my life a little bit, or my guests, when I get an opportunity. So anyway, tough shit. But to your point, the big silver lining in being sick last week, well, I don't care if it's COVID, the flu, just a common cold, whatever it may be. I couldn't get off the couch or bed, and I literally did nothing except watch TV. And usually this time of year, I'm balls deep into watching as many new Christmas movies as I can. I like to write up little reviews on the Talking Buffalo Substack page too. Or I was like, well, you get into a new show, a new series. Why not? Docuseries that are out there. I said, nope. I re-binged because I'd seen it before, and I binged it once before, but it was probably 5-6 years ago. I re-binged, and I'm getting old, so my memory goes. So a lot of stuff felt new to me. I re-binged the entire 7-season, 130 episodes of Parks and Rec from beginning to end. And I don't regret it at all. It is such a classic, great sitcom, network sitcom. Maybe one of the last great ones that we've seen since. There's not a lot of great sitcoms that are on the networks, at least, Not that I watch anyway anymore. I mean, obviously, The Office for me will always be number one. But people slept on Parks and Rec so much. It was always in the shadow of The Office. It still is. But I don't know if you've watched it before, but it is, I mean, it's one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. Literally, to use a Chris Traeger phrase there.
Yeah, I've watched it. I don't think I ever went back and binged it a second time, but I've seen bits and pieces of it then on. But yeah, if you can power through season 1, then it starts getting really good. Like the beginning when they're still, and that's the case for all of them. Even The Office is tough to get through season 1, but once the characters start finding themselves and what everybody's role is going to be in the show, I mean, it's probably top 5 for me on all time sitcoms.
I'm glad you said that. That's such a great point. Whether it's Parks and Rec, The Office, Schitt's Creek, that's another sitcom favorite of mine. First seasons are really slow and nothing really happens. So you really do kind of got to endure it a little bit. And then as you get to know the characters a little more, get a little more invested in them, the laughs come, of course. And then you start to get a little more like an emotional investment in the because there's some like Parks and Rec, just like The Office, there's some like stuff that's not really comedy in there. You know what I mean? Some tender moments and stuff that you care about a lot more because you get invested in them. But yeah, they're slow starts. I remember it's not a comedy, but Breaking Bad. I had to watch it 3 different times to get through the first season. It was so boring to me, and that's turned out to be one of the great dramas of all time. So that's not uncommon. Anyway, all right. Just now that people know what the hell I did during my sick week, let's get into my 7 biggest takeaways from this game on Sunday. Incredible game. In fact, you know what? I actually want to start there. So 7 biggest takeaways that I have. And number 1, it's not so much maybe about the result of the game, although clearly that mattered. I found myself at some point, PK, just really enjoying the game itself. Like this was I'm trying to think of the right word. I don't need to think of the right word. This was a beautiful football game. Weather, the stakes, the game itself. Sunday, 1 p.m. I'm a big Sunday, 1 p.m. guy. Okay. So it's Sunday, it's 1 p.m. Picturesque snow out there. Like it looked like a snow globe. It looked like a Hallmark movie kind of setting. You know what I mean? Like the scenery was awesome. And we've seen plenty of Bills games through the years like that. So the scenery is incredible. You got 2 elite quarterbacks, 2 great offenses in general, 2 teams that are desperate for a win for different reasons. The Bills needed to get a win to still have a chance to win the AFC East and to pretty much unofficially solidify themselves as a team that should make the playoffs, whereas the Bengals were pretty much playing for their playoff lives in this game. So you have all this. You have a great broadcast. Joe Davis, Greg Olsen, Pam Oliver. All I want for Christmas, PK, is to have 17 Bills games some year with them 3 covering this game. It was as good as it gets. So you get all this, and then on top of that, you just got a great sitting on the edge of your seat, heart racing. I said to my wife at one point in the fourth quarter, I was like, dude, I got a pulse X because of COPD. I was like, I wanted to know what my heart rate was at some point during this game. Just both teams, both fan bases, completely into it. Got your money's worth. Anyway, that's my whole point, PK. Just talk about your just experience watching and admiring a great football game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also the 1 o'clock fan club. I loved it when I saw it got moved from 4:25 to 1 o'clock. I was like, yes, absolutely love it because you get to enjoy the rest of your day, either being happy or being miserable. But yeah, the snow on the ground, the broadcast, like you mentioned with Greg Olsen, I think he's the most underrated color analyst on television for NFL by far. It stinks that Brady came in and bumped him out of the top slot, but him with Joe Davis, it's a flawless combo. I also had Josh Allen in my fantasy league in a must win to make playoffs. So I was even more invested in that one. This was the first time since probably playoffs last year that I was at maybe week 1. I'll take it back. Week 1, this was the most vocal I've been in the house. And usually it's just me sitting on the couch. The wife wants nothing to do with me during the football game. She's usually off in the bedroom watching something else. But the 2 dogs were out with me. And at least 3 or 4 times in the second half, I caught myself jumping off the couch, actually pumped up and excited, both for the game and fantasy, obviously. But the dogs were in on it as well. But yeah, that was, if you want to show anybody that has never seen football before, like a pitcher-esque type of game. I feel like that's what we got on Sunday between two great elite quarterbacks. I mean, just down to the wire till the very end where Josh Allen runs it 18 yards on a 3rd and 15, the snow, the broadcast, like everything. If you want to show anybody who's never seen a football game from a different country, like if that game, you could pick it up and move it to Brazil or Spain or Britain, whatever you want to do, that would get more fans a part of the NFL than the games that we've been shipping overseas. That was picturesque.
That is a fantastic point. I would suggest, too, if you went to the game and you didn't watch the broadcast,
go back.
If you happen to DVR it, even though you know what's going to happen, I would really suggest, because there are several times throughout this game where Greg Olsen is just dropping knowledge, kind of like Tony Romo did years ago.
Used to be, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where he used to, project plays before they would happen. He would just give you so much useful information. And Greg Olsen, really fitting that the tight ends had big days too with Greg Olsen in the house. But I won't talk about that specifically in a few minutes. But anyway, just the information he was providing. But also, I have to apologize. I wasn't familiar with Joe Davis's game, man. Holy shit. Because usually, we're watching the CBS broadcast, and I'm usually flipping around on the Sunday Ticket, or Red Zone when the Bills aren't playing. So I don't really get to hear him too often. The excitement level, they were like shades of Gus Johnson almost. Like if you go back, and I'm sure it's on Twitter, go look for a replay of the Benford interception, the pick six, because he lost his mind on that play. Did you lose your mind on that play? We're going to talk about Benford specifically in a minute, but just that sequence where Benford gets an interception and then AJ Epinesa on a deflected pass 1 play later gets an interception. Were you almost there in disbelief? Because I'm watching the game, PK, with my wife. It was just me and my wife watching the game, and it was a very helpless feeling because I didn't think the Bills were going to win. I did not pick the Bills to win this game, and it looked like they were on the verge of getting run out the stadium at one point, and then the Bills score a touchdown, and then the Benford play happens. And then, like I said, the interception. Just what was your thought process at the time? Were you just kind of like befuddled looking at the TV like, holy shit, what's going on here?
It brought me back to, and this is what I thought was going to bring it back to me, the 101-yard interception return by Taron Johnson. And I know it's different situations in there. That was a playoff game, sure, but that was the first time I've actually stood up and go, holy shit, go, 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 go. And then he scores the touchdown. And like, that's the most excitement I've had in the longest time. But yeah, my brother's been living upstairs, and for some reason, I think it's because I'm streaming it and he's hardwired, but he sees everything before I do. So he's walking down the stairs like as it's happening. I'm like, how is this happening? And then I forgot that he's like 30 seconds ahead of me. So he's already seen this stuff. But yeah, that was my emotion through it. It brought me back to the Taron Johnson going all the way, because Jamar Chase was right on his ass. Like the whole way, I'm like,
I thought he was catching him.
Yeah, I was like, he's going to get caught right here. But yeah, that's what it brought me back to.
Christian Benford's a good athlete, but he's not a burner. I completely thought Chase was going to catch him. And then when he did it, I was like, oh my God. Quick little side note too. So I live in a kind of a house apartment, and we have a tiny little apartment upstairs as for rent. And so our neighbor's upstairs, and a guy, she's seeing or talking to a guy at the end of our street, and he comes upstairs and he's watching the game. This is unbeknownst to me at the time. My wife and I were complete, absolute psychopaths, apparently, because he had left after the game. I still don't even know who he is. But anyway, the upstairs neighbor was talking to my wife outside on the porch and saying, neighbor thinks you guys are crazy. Because we were literally I was absolutely losing my mind at several points during this game. But yeah, man, anyway, so it was just a really fun, and I liked what you said. It's if you've never watched a football game before, and especially if you didn't have a horse in the race, well, if you're a Bills fan, because you came out happy. Bengals fans, their season feels over, so they probably don't feel the same way about this game. But if you're either a Bills fan or if you had no horse in the race, this is a great game to just introduce a new fan to. I couldn't agree with you more. Let's move on to the reason why the Bills won this game at the end of the day. The biggest reason anyway, not the only, but Josh Allen just playing at the top of his game. Statistically, another great game. And, it wasn't the greatest game he's had statistically. We've seen plenty of these types of games before, but when you go back, and I spent a considerable amount of time, like I usually do on Monday mornings after a Bills game, I watched the All-22 and looked at a lot of plays a handful of times. And And fourth downs were Josh Allen's down. That, early in the game, and I thought this was a low-key key part of this game, PK. So it's 4th and 4. Cincinnati, they got the ball at the Cincinnati 45, and they're already down 14-3. This Cincinnati took the opening kickoff. They scored a touchdown. The Bills were held to a field goal. Since they got the ball, they came right down the field. They scored again. They're up 14-3. The Bills have to answer, and it's 4th and 4 on the Cincy 45, and they're down 14-3. And there's pressure, and he avoids the sack. He gets out to his left. He threw in some really nice throw to Gabe Davis for the first down, which wasn't even the best play on that drive, because later in the drive, it's 4th down and goal from, I believe, the 4-yard line. And that's when he just did that magic. He looked like he was running out of bounds, and he turns over and he threw a pass. You cannot throw a better pass in a tighter window to Khalil Shakir, on a scramble drill for a touchdown. Those two plays on that one drive, if they don't score, especially the first time where Cincinnati gets the ball in their midfield and they go up and it's 21-3, that's a wrap on this football game. They're not going to blow that lead, not the way that offense plays against the Bills defense. So that was incredible, both those plays. Then you had the other, there was a 4th and 4 from the 3. That was kind of like to get up 2 scores and essentially sort of put the game away. Well, at least come close to it anyway, where he just buys time. This was an offensive line thing, but he's patient. He waits, and Jackson Oz comes wide open. He hits him for the touchdown, of course. The 40-yard run, which is a Bills record for a touchdown run by a quarterback. And then the 17-yard. I got some thoughts on the Bengals defense we'll get to separately, but that 17-yarder on 3rd and 15, there are a lot of scenarios that I thought could happen on 3rd down. That was not one I thought the Bengals in a million years would allow to happen, but they did anyway. He puts the game away. Just a sensational MVP caliber performance from the MVP, and I just don't know how you could come out of this game and just not appreciate what he did.
Yeah, it's insane the type of season he's had. And if you spotlight the games where he just went superhero mode, it's versus Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Joe Burrow. And even if you want to talk some Baker Mayfield as well, He goes superhero mode. And we said it on the episode that dropped on Monday, that I don't understand why teams, and I know it's way easier said than done, why any team ever lets him scramble to his right. Because you know exactly what's going to happen 9 times out of 10. That throw, I don't know if you've seen the angle, the camera angle behind the end zone. That throw that he made to Khalil Shakir, I don't know how it's completed. Like, Shakir's not anywhere near open. That ball is going to hit the defender in the back of the head. He's going to his right. Shakir has somebody on his left, so that ball's supposed to hit him. I don't know how he made it. It's insane. It just shows that. And I'm not going to get negative on this, but it just shows that he can elevate anybody's play to an extent. He needs some more help down the road, but that throw was insane. The 40-yard run, which is still shocking when they said that was his longest quarterback run in Bills history. That means that was the longest Josh Allen's quarterback touchdown in history. Like, I can't believe it's only been 40. I would have assumed he's had a longer touchdown run than that. But then the 3rd and 15 where he just sprints up the middle, it's just, he knows how to, and you can even look at the playoff games for an example. When the lights are the brightest and the most eyes are on you, that seems to be when he steps up the most. That seems when the cape is fitting the best and flown in the wind the most. It was just a flawless game by Josh Allen. And thank you again. I'm in the fantasy playoffs because of you.
Isn't it wild how he does play his best against the best quarterbacks? Now, it doesn't always come out on top. Like, we hear the narrative, they can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. Fair, because they haven't beaten the Chiefs in the playoffs. Doesn't matter. They've been close games. The Bills could have won 13 seconds. That's a historic, flop at the end of the game. But it's fair to say they can't beat the Chiefs. But it's not because Josh Allen hasn't played as good or as even better than Patrick Mahomes. It's just, I don't know, man. He's outplayed Lamar Jackson multiple times, especially in the playoffs. It's not even that he outplays him. He just avoids the mistakes that Lamar Jackson always seems to make in the postseason. It gives you hope that the Bills could win any game at any time, but they're not a good road team. So that's something, you know what I mean? I'm kind of trying to balance the good and the bad between that. Josh Allen's up to 34 touchdowns now this season. If he stays healthy, of course, he's going to get 40. He's going to extend his own record of total touchdowns in a season. Matt Stafford has it locked up. Matt Stafford is going to win MVP unless something colossal bad happens over to them over the last month. So Josh could finish for what it's worth. I still think if you took Stafford out of the equation, he's got a good look to get into the top 3 still. I mean, May is right up there as well. And he's finished in the top 3 times, by the way, including the one that he won just last year. Is it crazy to you? I'm kind of going off a little bit, but because we're talking about Josh Allen, I'm going off the rail a little bit of what we're talking about. But how surprised are you? We're talking about these elite quarterbacks with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, that there is a good chance that about 4 or 5 weeks from now, when the playoffs start, all those quarterbacks, with the exception of Josh Allen, are going to be watching the playoffs. Go back to the PK mind in August there, when we were talking before the season, an AFC playoff without Joe Burrow, without Lamar Jackson, and without Patrick Mahomes certainly is possible.
Yeah, I would be wondering, okay, who's coming to Buffalo for the games and the roads to the playoffs? But yeah. I maybe I'll be a pessimist here. I still think Kansas City is gonna find a way to sneak into the playoffs. It's with looking at what the Chargers have coming up and looking at what's coming up with the Indianapolis Colts, especially with no Daniel Jones, and I heard that their backup now is injured as well. Who knows if he's going to end up playing? But Brett Rippon is going to be the one that you're counting on. I seen it too many times. People saying Kansas City has no chance. It's very slim. And then they pull the rabbit out of the hat and they somehow sneak in. So I'm not counting them out yet. But if you were to tell me going into week 15 that we're sitting where we are, where those 3 quarterbacks are on the outside trying to get in, I would have called you a liar. I would have called, okay, obviously those 3 guys got hurt. And yes, Joe Burrow did get hurt. And Lamar Jackson also got hurt at some point. But even looking at Patrick Mahomes with all the weapons that they have, and it's not a bad defense, how the heck is he sitting outside of the playoffs? Yeah, I would be really, it goes back to what you were saying. You're looking at who's in the AFC right now. This is the best chance that the Buffalo Bills have had in how long to go through it, because you're looking at the caliber of quarterbacks. It's not knocking Drake May, but it's just he's not in that tier yet. He still can get there. He's just not there yet. This if there's ever a year when there's not a top dog, this would seem to be it. And this is the year that everybody has the most questions with this team.
Very fair point. And by the way, in terms of Kansas City, begrudgingly, I agree with you. Now, their only realistic path would be to catch the Chargers, because they're 2 games behind Houston, essentially 3 now, because they lost to them. They're 3 games behind the Bills, and they lost to the Bills. You look at their schedule, so they still play the Chargers, so theirs could be one of your games. I don't know how the tiebreakers work right now, but anyway, they play them. They also play Denver in Kansas City, which I don't know if they could beat them, and then they got Tennessee and Vegas. So it is doable. They're not dead, but there's a good chance. Last thing I'll say too before the break, when it comes to the Bills, this is the best look that I think they've ever had. Not ever, but this era.
Yes.
At this point of the season. Let's not forget, they don't kick the ball into the end zone and don't play 25 yards off the line of scrimmage away, or tackle Travis Kelce at the line of scrimmage away from hosting an AFC championship. And they had a great opportunity to win last year as well. But to your point, you're 100% right. When we're looking at late in the regular season, if I would have told you no Bengals, no Chiefs, no Ravens, like you said, well, who's got to come through Buffalo? That's what you would be thinking. Oh, but at least the Bills are there, and that's the big thing. Anyway, quick break, come back. Christian Benford, and we're going to get to mostly positive, but a few pessimistic things, because this game, look, the Bills won, and that's great, but it wasn't all, color candy and roses too. So we'll be back right after this quick break. All right, back here with PK from the Buffalo Sports Collective, talking Buffalo, presented by William Mattar. Heard in the car, call William Mattar, 844-4444. All right, man, Christian Benford. Arguably, to me, forget about just the play of the game. Maybe it's the play of the season. He also had a sack. He had a tackle for a loss. He's the reigning AFC Defensive Player of the Week. He may be a back-to-back AFC Defensive Player of the Week because you'd be hard-pressed to find a bigger player around the league than that. And I'll tell you, even if you take away that play, PK, which you can't take away, it was the play of the game, but the job that he did, Jamar Chase, I was looking up some NGS, Next Generation Stats stuff. He was matched up against Jamar Chase on 16 reps. 2 targets, no receptions. Last week, he was shadowing, and he said he was shadowing DK Metcalf all of last week. He gave up 3 catches for 32 yards. He was the difference. You know, we say all the time, Josh Allen needs help. He can't do it all by himself. And it's true. He does need some help. And it wasn't a receiver. Now, he got plenty of help from the I'm not saying he did it all by himself on offense. He certainly didn't. But the whole phrase, "you really need some help," well, he got it. It was just on the other side of the football because this play, more than anything else that we saw throughout the game, it just changed the complete trajectory of this football game. They went from like a 16% chance of winning to like 70 or something crazy like that immediately after the play. Talk about the play and talk about just Christian Benford and the turnaround he's had from, I thought, was a pedestrian, first month or so of the season.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was going to start off. Is to start the season, I thought he wasn't what we had been used to seeing from him. And it's been flipped the switch, especially with the not so great to average play on the opposite side of the field, with him trailing and matching up against DK Metcalf nonstop last week. Was that the first time in his career he's ever done that? Like, he's been known to just stay on the one side of the field, and Sever over there locks it down. What he did, that was one of the first things we said on the podcast, because I didn't look into all the next gen stats and all that stuff. I was just like, Jamar Chase was really quiet in this one. And then it started popping out on Twitter, like what he was able to do to Jamar Chase. Most people can't do that against Jamar Chase. Like, it's not thing. They even designed one where it was a jet sweep in front, and Joe Burrow just tossed it to him just to try to get him involved somehow, because whenever Christian Benford was on him, he couldn't get open. Like, they were seeing in the broadcast multiple times, in this type of situation, wide receivers and pass catchers should have the leg up because they know where they're going. The defenders don't. It seemed like Benford had the leg up on Jamar Chase and was in his head knowing exactly where he was going to go this whole time. I've said it on this show. I've said it on my show multiple times. The Bills have too many good players and not enough great players. Christian Benford is a great player. He might be one of the only great players they have on that side of the ball. And what you said is perfectly true. He was the help that Josh Allen needed yesterday, because this team was not stopping that Bengals offense. Like, there was no way. It was, we're hoping to get a turnover because that's the only way we're going to stop Bengals. It's pretty much the only way they did. And that game changed on a dime when he picked that off. I mean, not just to jump up and tip it. He came down with it in the air. It wasn't just like a tip and then he's down and then caught it. He tipped it, caught it in midair. It was one of the, I think it is the play of the season, because they lose that game, the division's out of reach, and playoffs are a bit more in question now that they're not locked in, but they're more solidified there. And I think that play, if they do end up making playoffs, that play will be looked back on as a big reason why they're in the position they're in the playoffs.
I feel like the defense as a whole still is not playing very well, and they did not play very well at all in this game either. But you make up for not playing well by making a couple of big plays. And this is now back-to-back weeks where I feel like you can argue maybe 2 of the biggest 3 plays of the season for the Bills could have come by the defense in these last 2 weeks. You go back to last week, in the very first play on Aaron Rodgers to start the third quarter is the Bosa. He pummels him, the ball fumbles, and Christian Benford's there. He picks it up, and he scores a touchdown. Let's not forget, Pittsburgh was winning the game at that time. And who knows, if they get the ball and Bosa doesn't make that play, they go and they score. Who knows how the game ultimately plays out. This game kind of goes without saying. The Bills needed to make a couple plays on defense, and they did. And we talked about it earlier in the show. I'm still stunned that Jamar Chase didn't catch him. I was waiting for him to catch him. You brought up a great point, too. There was a point at what, I don't remember when, but there was a point where I'm like, is Jamar Chase out there? Is he hurt? You know what I mean? Because I'm stunned that he wasn't a factor. And while you were talking earlier, I was looking it up. I had to go back to the Atlanta game because I wanted to make sure I was correct. Because at that time, And maybe that was the game where they stopped playing exclusively sides. Drake London just cooked the Bills. Yep. And I wanted to make sure that it wasn't Christian Benford that he was cooking, because I can't remember things from 2 weeks ago, let alone from 2 months ago. And it wasn't. I remember now he was just kind of chewing up their zone between the linebackers and the safeties primarily. But my point was, aside from that, the only wide receiver that's really cooked the Bills this year was Jalen Waddle a handful of weeks ago in Miami, which Christian Benford did not play in that game. And I remember a lot of people, to some extent myself, excited that Max Harrison was going to get, his first start, and then he was going to get a lot of one-on-one coverage with Jalen Waddle. Well, it didn't go his way. Nothing against Max Harrison. I think he'll be fine. That's a big ask for a rookie who's missed so much time like he did. So it's not like a slight against Max. My whole point is Benford wasn't out there. He didn't play. Probably would have made a big difference in that game. We saw the difference that he made against Pittsburgh. We saw the difference in this game as well. Chris Trapasso, a good buddy of ours, put up a tweet about Benford. He said, since the bye week, 203 coverage snaps, 18 targets, 9 catches for 121 yards, 2 pass breakups, 0 touchdowns allowed, 2 interceptions, 2 defensive touchdowns since the bye week. That is like Derek Stingley unit, the best DBs in the entire NFL. Those are the kind of numbers that the best put up. Before we move on real quick, with Benford and guys like that really solidifying the secondary, and Jordan Phillips or Jordan Poyer being out there kind of knowing where players, you feel like the defense is playing a little bit better because you got a guy like Benford where you could say, well, I really don't care if it's Jamar Chase or whoever it may be. I'm putting my guy on him, and we'll figure the rest out on defense. He's that important to this defense now, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. When you can take away the offense's most dangerous weapon and just say, go out there and cover this guy and shut him down, it makes such a world of difference on the defensive side of the ball, because there's so many other things that they have to worry about on defense. If you can exclude that one, it puts you that much closer to being able to figure out what the heck's going on.
Sure. So every Wednesday on the show, I have Matt Moran on from SB Nation, and we do an exercise. We take the game before, we go position by position, and we analyze each position from that game, and ultimately Matt will give a grade for that game on that unit. And except for running back, tight end is consistently low-key. Like, doesn't feel like it, but week after week after week, when we get to tight ends, we look at the numbers and what they did in that game, they consistently have had like the highest grades positionally, maybe of any position on this team other than running back this year. Because Josh Allen, as great as he's been, he's also had a couple stinkers. You know what I mean? The tight ends really haven't, and they certainly didn't in this game. Cincinnati came into this game by a wide margin, dead last in the NFL when it comes to defending tight ends. And I was a little concerned that Joe Brady might have tried to get too cute, saying, well, they expect us to attack the tight ends, and we're going to fool them and do this. Nah, first play of the game, literally the first play of the game, a 33-yard pass to Dawson Knox in the middle of the field, and they used their tight ends to their advantage this entire game. 11 catches, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns among the 3 tight ends in this game. Dawson Knox rises from the dead. He can still play some football when given an opportunity. 6 catches for 93 yards, 2-point conversion. Kincaid return after missing, I think, 3 games. 3 games. 4 for 41 with a touchdown. Only played 22 snaps, 20 of them in the pass game. So I'm good with that. Jackson Hawes, who blocks like a madman, caught a touchdown. It's his 3rd of the season. Listen to this stat before I turn this over to you. This is a Pat Moran stat. I did the hard work myself, folks. I wanted to know what the tight ends were doing this year compared to last year. Last year, this is the 3 tight ends, Kincaid, Knox, and Quentin Morris. 71 catches for 795 yards and 4 touchdowns combined over 17 games. This season, 70 catches, which is 1 less than last year, and they still got 4 games left. 957 yards combined, 9 touchdowns. So they already got 162 more receiving yards and 5 more touchdown receptions from their tight ends this year, and they still got a full month left of games. PK, the tight end, a big, and on an offense where the receivers can't really seem to get anything going, the tight ends have been a model of consistent good play on this football team.
Yeah, I'm glad you started with how it started and ended with how their season completely has been and sandwiched in the middle of Cincinnati, because as what's been told time and time again, Cincinnati's defense is going to be putting up like record-setting bad year against tight ends. So I'm happy that you smacked that in the middle, because on the ends, they've had a solid season, like a very, very good season. And you laid out the stats there exactly why. And that's with like a half a season of Dalton Kincaid. Imagine what this room could do if he could stay on the football field. Like, he's a legit weapon that I think they're missing desperately when he's not on the field for Josh Allen. Because, yeah, he might not be the best blocker, but he's got the speed in the game. He can get open when he's catching the ball. Like, this tight end group, where they're missing in the receiving room, they're making up for in the tight end room. I think that draft pick of, I always want to call him Spencer Hawes, but I'm catching myself every time, Jackson Hawes, it's just, they were able to add another lineman out there in Jackson Hawes who can also go out and pass catch. It's just, that room is not one that I have to worry about. Yeah, maybe Dawson Knox is making way too much money. Sure. But he just earned that contract in that game. He came out of nowhere. His one flub was the missed catch in the end zone, which was a difficult catch. He didn't come down with it. Sure. But, I mean, he had a career day. Maybe not a career day. He had a game of the season for himself, I should say. If Dalton Kincaid can stay on the field for the rest of the season and in the playoffs, so maybe they got to manage his reps the rest of the way. Sure. But that would be an area where I believe Buffalo would have an advantage over the defense in most matchups moving forward. It's a room that I'm very comfortable about, and that's not me. It's not something I would have thought of week 15 when I was thinking about this team in the preseason. It's a very solid room that I think overall B+ to an A, and yesterday was an A+ effort.
Predicated this by saying Dalton Kincaid needs to stay on the field down the stretch.
Yes.
It does lessen my concern with the wide receivers. Now, I'm not here to say somebody, someone has got to step up among the wide receivers. I just don't know who's going to. Shakir's going to make some plays, just like he did in this game. He did make that catch. Josh Allen almost put the ball right in his hand, though. But still, it was a good play. I'd clear, but you know what I'm saying. I don't know who's going to consistently step up. The one thing I do know is that the tight ends have been consistently good this season, and it's not unheard of for a team. The New England Patriots won multiple Super Bowls with the tight end being their best weapon. We've seen it. Shannon Sharp was the best weapon on some Denver teams and some Green Bay teams. Was it Green Bay or Baltimore Ravens teams? I'm sorry, back in the day. So it's not unprecedented for your tight ends to be your best pass catchers, is all I'm saying. And if your wide receivers aren't going to give you much, if Kincaid's out there, I'm okay with it's hard for me to explain just because I can't believe it's happening. I can't believe the Bills' offense is still humming with the wide receivers being as bad as they are, because this is it's not a good wide receiver room, but yet the Bills still continue to put up points. Last year, it was a whole, Matt Collins and Amari Cooper, for various reasons. You lose them, not a great big deal. You bring in Josh Palmer, you should be just as good. Now I got Brandon Cooks or whatever. Well, Josh Palmer's been hurt, and you haven't really seen much from him. They missed Matt Collins, and they missed the presence of Amari Cooper, maybe not his production. So the wide receiver room has been kind of crap this season, but it hasn't mattered that much, in part because of the tight ends. The next thing I wanted to hit you up with, Sean McDermott, he knew the assignment in this game, dude. He knew what it took to win this game. He knew that you had to be aggressive. He saw relatively early on the Bengals had 3 touchdown drives on the first 3 possessions. He knew he couldn't count on the defense getting stops, and I think that made him more aggressive to go for it on these 4th downs, and he did it with little hesitation. And I think maybe the thing that impressed me the most, maybe not in the moment, because if it would have worked, I probably would have been mad, but they're up 4, and they go for it to get up 2 scores. There's 3:03 left in the game, and it's not like it was a yard. You know what I mean? You knew they had to throw the ball, and if they kick the field goal, they go up 7. They don't. They go for it, and they scored a touchdown. Cincinnati came right down the field and scored again. Again, I had some serious issues with the Bengals coaching there at the end of the game. But anyway, my whole point, PK, was I was impressed with Sean McDermott's aggressiveness in this football game. I'm going to assume that you were as well.
Yeah, he's come a long way from those Kansas City playoff games where it's just kicking field goals and everyone's at home saying you're not going to beat Kansas City with field goals. That decision on fourth down there where he could have kicked a field goal and gone up by 7 and would have risked, we saw, like you just mentioned, Kansas City goes right down the field and scores, and then Buffalo gets the ball and maybe they can go down there and kick a field goal in that type of blizzard. Not even blizzard, but you know what I mean. Weather. That decision right there doesn't absolve him of all the things that I've said before, but it shows that, okay, he sees that there's issues on the defensive side of the ball. He's just not imagining that he can get this stuff fixed. He knows that this defense isn't stopping Cincinnati. I need a touchdown here, not a field goal, if I want to continue to make my way into the playoffs here. That decision right there, the fourth down decision early on in the game, like his decision-making in this one, minus the timeouts, was flawless. Like I loved every bit of it. I think this was his best coach game in a while. I loved everything that he was able to do in this one, but especially that fourth down call to go up the way he did, rather than just rely on the field goal kicker to make it, and then his defense to hope and pray gets another turnover, because I think even he knew they were not getting a stop. So hats off to Sean McDermott for that coaching performance. He coached circles around Zach Taylor. I do not know how Zach Taylor still has a job with the Cincinnati Bengals. But again, you look back at Marvin Lewis, who had a job with Cincinnati for the longest time. They like to keep their head coaches for some reason. They're kind of like the Sabres with GMs. But I thought it was a flawless performance minus the timeouts from Sean McDermott the other day.
And I'm glad you brought up the first one, too, because you're right. Again, it was 14-3 early in the game.
Yeah.
Could have easily, and it was 4th and 3, closer to 4 yards, and it would have been easy to take the points and be like, all right, well, it's 14-6, 8 points. It's a one-score game, and it's early.
Oh, and the 2-point conversion, too. I forgot about that one, accepting the penalty and going for 2 there. Yeah, I forgot about that one, too.
Yeah. So it was a really aggressive game, and I like that from Sean McDermott. Again, a couple of things I didn't like here. One of them, the nickel and dime defenders on this team. Big problem. Cam Lewis, I don't put much stock ever in the PFF grades. I'll say that. However, when you have a 27.7 PFF grade, it's for a reason. Gave up 5 catches on 6 targets for 67 yards. And Teron Johnson was probably even worse. 4 catches on 5 targets, 44 yards. He got smoked by Gesicki on that touchdown. I was looking it up. Per PFF, 103 passer rating versus him. I almost feel like that's kind of generous, too. And I mean, he's also not the tackler that he used to be as well. And I feel, maybe not so much this game, but, I think it's been prevalent at times this year. His playing time's going down a little bit, which is a good thing. From 2021 through 2024, he was played at least 84% of the snaps each year. Now he's down to 74, and it's kind of going down a little bit more by more. PK, Cam Lewis, listen, it was just not a great game for him, but he's done some pretty good things in his role this season. I'm not down on Cam Lewis. Just one of those days at the office, I feel like maybe for him. I'm very concerned about Teron Johnson at this point, and there's not anything really they can do. What are they going to do? There's nothing they really could do right now. They need to find a way to get him to play better, because I don't see a solution on this roster. You got to play at least some nickel. Are they going to bench him from Cam Lewis? I just don't see that happening, man. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Teron Johnson is concerning me.
Was it your tweet I saw that somebody wanted to study his game?
Me.
Yeah, that was you? Okay, I thought it was you. Yeah, I've been on his case for the last few weeks now. I don't know what happened to Teron Johnson. It's like he's reached that point of his career where everything's just on the downslope. It's just, he's not anywhere close to what he was even last year. It's just insane. Like, the one play I remember him making was that one where he jumped up and tipped the ball away because it was a bad throw by Joe Burrow. Otherwise, it would have landed right in Mike Gesicki's hands. Yeah. He's just not the same type of player he was last year. And like you said, I don't know exactly what they need to do, but they can't leave him out there all the time. But again, who's the alternative? They don't really have one. So they need to figure out what the heck's going on with him. Is he cooked now? Like, it really could just be, this is the year he's cooked, because how much can that body handle from the years that he put in, being that hard-nosed tackle, getting in there, tackling guys that are 50, 60 pounds heavier than him.
Yeah.
But yeah, they need to figure out what to do in that position, whether it's, less time on the field and more 3 linebacker sets. And I don't think that's the way to handle it because of what their defense has been known to do, but they need to figure out that position. They need to figure out with Taron Johnson, because otherwise teams see the film. You and I see it. That's the position to expose, and teams have been doing it. And that's a big reason why they can't get any stops, especially on third downs. I would like to go back there. Maybe you have it. How many times was he cooked on third downs when they went 10 for 12 on Sunday? It's just, it's not a good position, and it's a big, big glaring issue for them.
Yeah, like I said, with Cam Lewis, it's just one of those days against a great elite quarterback too. Okay, let's put that out there. But if this was just one game with Tehran, I'd be like, okay, but it's not. It's been a recurrent problem, and there's not really anything they could do because they're not going to bench him for Cam Lewis. They're certainly not going to bench him for Jordan Hancock. Now, maybe Jordan Hancock can become the future. We all assume he's going to be the next free safety. Maybe he ends up being that slot corner. But one of the annoying things besides Brandon Beane not making a trade at the deadline was that he restructured Taron Johnson's deal to create cap room. So now it's harder to get rid of him after this season. They're probably stuck with another year after this year, kind of how they've been with Dawson Knox. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, to your point, he's 29 years old, but it feels like he's in his mid-30s. And that is because of the way he plays, the position he plays, such as a physical grinder. Basically, he's been a linebacker. That'll age you, man. That'll age you. But he doesn't do anything as good as he did even a year and a half or so ago. He doesn't run as well. He's not tackling as well. His instincts don't seem as good as they were not too long ago. It's just kind of a little bit of a mess with him. And speaking of a little bit of a mess, at least anyway, the last thing I had was James Cook. As me, at least, if we were going out for wings, we would be mild. At least mildly has me concerned. We'll use that. That'll be the hot sauce wing of concern there. Mildly, maybe even mild medium. With these fumbles, 2 on Sunday on the same drive, one of them, and you would think, hey, man, I almost cost the team because we all thought that ball went through the end zone and they caught a break there. You'd be like, I am not going to fumble again. Well, he did fumble again. And it cost them because Cincinnati took the ball and they went 80 yards. That was a 14-point swing. He's lost a fumble now in back-to-back weeks. He's fumbled 4 times in the last 2 weeks. He's got 6 fumbles this year now, just like seemingly like that. He had 1 all of last year. Nobody's saying he's not a great player, but are you concerned about this? Or are you just, it's like, hey, man, he'll learn from it. He'll be fine. I'm not concerned. Just put 2 not 2 hands on the football. It's not his style, but I don't know. Again, I'm a little bit concerned about the fumbling. What about you?
Yeah, I'll put it mild with a side of hot sauce as well.
There you go.
I will absolve him of the first one because how many players do we see reaching for the end zone there? That's fine. It's still not excusable, but I get what he's thinking to do there. I also thought, oh man, that's in the back of the end zone. And then they showed another replay. I was like, oh God, he got so lucky. That was by inches. The second one, if you see the second camera angle, he fumbles and he doesn't get the clean handoff there. It was already loose. And then as soon as he puts it away, that's when it's knocked loose. Like that's somebody that I am not in his head. I do not know what he was thinking, but that first fumble almost seems like it got in his head a bit. Like I just fumbled. I can't fumble again. He's overthinking it because he didn't take that handoff clean. He didn't put it away clean, and instantly it's back on the ground. I'm mildly concerned. I would like to see what happens because I mean he is taking more handoffs and he's involved in the passing game and he's involved in the running game a heck of a lot more than last year. So the fumbles theoretically are going to go up a bit. But these last 2 games, I mean, 4 fumbles, it can't happen. Like how many times have we seen this year that the reason Buffalo loses these games are self-inflicted wounds? It's fumbles, it's interceptions, it's problems on defense. If he can clean that mess up, I'm feeling a lot better. But it's just 2 games in a row, 4 fumbles. It's worth noting to track the rest of the season because if that continues, the other guy that you can rely upon on offense is going to be somebody that you're going to have to question. Is he going to hang on to this ball this time when he's running through the pocket of defenders right there? It's nerve-wracking right now. I'll put it like that.
Hopefully it's an anomaly for now, but does it get into his mind? Does he start thinking about that too much? And then maybe he doesn't play as instinctual, and him being an instinct type player is part of what makes him so great. He's on pace to do incredible things right now. He's on pace to have 1,711 rushing yards as of today, which would be third all-time single season in Bills history. And he's also on pace for 2,060 yards from scrimmage, which would also be third all-time single season in team history. OJ in 1975 and Thurman Thomas in 1992 are the only two guys to ever go over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. I'm sorry, OJ did it more than once, but those were the only two other guys to ever do it. James Cook is right there, but here's the thing. We'll go to Foxborough next Sunday, PK. Second drive of the game, James Cook puts the ball on the carpet. Does Sean McDermott at that point start to, hey man, I'm gonna start getting more Ray Davis in between the tackles. I'm not gonna let my running back keep fumbling. The leash could get a little bit shorter with one more mistake, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do we see his first snap where he fumbled? He's in the doghouse for a few years. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I do agree the leash is going to be shorter if that ball gets put on the ground again, especially even if he doesn't lose it. Even if it's put on the ground and one of the Bills grabs it, it's still going to be in his head. It's still going to be in the coaching staff's heads. Sure. It's going to be, we were that close to losing another one. Needs to clean that part of the game up.
I give Sean McDermott, I gave him credit earlier for being aggressive. I'm going to give him some credit too that James Cook has built up enough sweat equity with this team right now that when he did fumble twice on one drive, the very next time Buffalo touched the ball, James Cook was immediately back out there. He showed confidence in his running back.
Yes.
That's awesome. I just hope that continues. I hope he doesn't have to make that decision again anytime soon. Kind of a bonus takeaway from this game, but we don't really need to talk about it. I just wanted to point it out. The defense, Christian Benford made that great individual play. He also had a sack on a blitz. That was near the end of the half and forced a punch. So Christian Benford fingerprints were all over this game. And then, of course, Jordan Phillips with the deflection, AJ Epinesa with the interception. Those individual plays helped mask a defense that all in all was pretty goddamn bad, bro. They gave up 10 of 12 on third downs, 3 for 3 in the red zone. Not great, Bob. Morgan Fox played. People have been waiting for him. I've seen enough. I saw nothing on film. TJ Sanders is still playing half his rep at defensive edge because they don't have anyone else to do it. He did have one nice rep, but other than that, it's like, come on, man. Trey White and Max Harrison both struggled. Now, again, albeit against Higgins and Joey Burrow, that's going to happen to a lot of corners, so I'm not really mad at them. I'm just pointing out that the defense did not play very well. They're going to have to play better for sure going forward because you can't count on those, I'm going to say borderline fluky plays that the Bills got in this game. Here's what I did want to ask you about. The coaching from Cincinnati. Going back, one of the things, I'm always watching for the Bills, like who made a block, who did this, who did what. Like the Josh Allen touchdown, the 40-yard run, I'm like, you don't have a spy on this guy? And then I can understand that in that moment, okay? They blitzed on that play, so whatever. But now it's 3rd and 15. All you got to do is get a stop. You're going to get the ball back. Let them catch the ball 10 yards. You're playing man for man, and they did not. There was nobody in the middle of the field. Ty Johnson comes in motion, stops. Josh knows they're in man, sprints out to the left. The linebacker goes with him. The other linebacker goes to the right. Went out with, I believe, Khalil Shakir. He gets through the middle, and there's nobody there. Geno Stone's the only guy between him and the first down, and Josh has already got a lot of steam going, and of course, he outruns him, gets through the tackle, and gets the first down. The coaching in this game, holy shit, it was so bad. Some people will disagree. I thought they should have tried an onside kick as opposed to kicking it deep, but you can make a case. They were 3rd and 15 away from getting the ball back, then a brain fart with the defense, and they lose. So that was shameful, but I guess what I wanted to get your reaction from was T. Higgins. First of all, he's a great player. He was in concussion protocol, missed a handful of games. He comes back this week. The Bills are really struggling if they could stop him. He smacks his head on the turf, and he points at his head, man. Goes into the medical tent. I'm like, well, in fact, I said this to my wife, and I'm being honest with everybody. I don't never want to see, unless I hate your guts, I don't ever want to see. I'm never going to be happy that somebody got hurt. But I'm like, I hope he feels amazing tomorrow. because I don't want no more T. Higgins in this game, all right? So I was like, consider that a break. Hey, the Bills have been snake-bitten with injuries too, whatever it is. Anyway, he's back in the game. I'm like, what the hell? Then he smacks his head again. He's in the game again after that. And then sure as shit, on Monday here, as we're recording this, we learned that he is back in concussion protocol. Zach Taylor, you just talked about how he shouldn't have a job because I don't think he should have a job because of this. This is a fireable as a head coach, and I know there's medical experts and independent people, whatever. You're the head coach of the team. You got to know that dude is hurt, man. He dropped 3 passes, too, in this game. And he also, again, he was still unstoppable, and he had 3 drops in this game. But shame on Zach Taylor. Shame on him. That was a playoff game for them, and they put winning that game above the health of T. Higgins, and no one in this world will ever convince me otherwise. They knew if they lost, the season was over, and it don't take a smart person. PK, you and I don't need to be Dirk, what's his name? Who's the concussion specialist now? Former wrestler, Chris Nowitzki. We don't have to be him to see he smacked his head on the turf. Not once, but twice. He even pointed at his head. I think the Bengals as an organization today, more than losing that game on Sunday, they should be ashamed of themselves for putting a player's health at risk, because that's literally, I felt like, that is literally what they did with T. Higgins. Shame on them, man.
Yeah, for somebody that's had 5 concussions, they're not something to play with. I mean, they should already be investigated. I mean, he didn't come out for the second half because I feel like he was being, for the second time that game, evaluated for a concussion. Like, there's no way that guy could have passed 2 concussion tests. Like, it's not possible. Like, he just got over concussion. We saw what happened with Christian Benford last year, right? Where he comes back, he smacks his head off the ground, and he has another concussion. It doesn't just heal overnight. Like, I get he got held out, and it wasn't the first game. Like, he missed a week with a concussion. So it's not just that it happened last week. I get that. Right. But you smacked your head off the ground twice. You dropped multiple passes. They called it out on the broadcast. Like, he just came back. That should have been a catch by him. Something's up with him. It is 100%. Like, I can't prove it, but it's 100%. They said, we need T. Higgins in this game. It's the only chance we have. He's cooking the Bills defense right now. We need him back in the game. Like, as an organization, whether or not the doctors cleared him, I don't know how you look at that, knowing what we know about concussions and head injury now, and put him back in the game. I don't know how you can stomach that by looking at a guy's health and knowing how long they've been together in that locker room. Like, T. Higgins and Zach Taylor have known each other for years now. He's been the head coach wide receiver situation for a long time now. I don't know how you can look at that guy in the face on Monday morning and go like, dude, sorry, you got a concussion. Like, I thought you were cleared. I don't know how you can look at the situation like that and go back and play. We really need you. There's more important things in life than a football game. And I know I'm sitting there because Bills won, la-di-da, but that's a player's like rest of his career that you just jeopardized, and the rest of his life that you jeopardized by wanting him back on the field again. It's insanity. I don't know how they're already not investigating. I don't know how NFL hasn't already put out a statement that we're going to investigate this situation. Freaking Brian Dable looks in the tent and he gets fined. Like, they played T. Higgins. What the hell are we talking about here?
Yeah, when he didn't come out for the second half, I'm like, all right, he tried to play maybe, and then he got symptoms and they held him out, but he came back out. He came back out again. You brought up a great point, too, with the Bills, because it was in the playoffs. Yeah. And Benford got a concussion, and we desperately needed him to clear and play against Kansas City in the championship game, and he played. And then he got hurt right away. And that was it. I can't imagine him smacking his head like that, and then Sean McDermott putting him back in the football game. Say what you will about Sean as a coach, a decision maker, a game manager, this and that. I don't think in a million years the Bills would put out a player like that if he's clearly got a concussion. And T. Higgins played doctor himself. When he pointed at his head, man, that should have been it. And I know I sound like we can't help it. We sound like Bills fans who are, if it would have been the other way around, if there would have been Dalton Kincaid, you'd want him back out there trying to win the game. Not at the expense of maybe the dude's quality of life getting wrecked because his brains get scrambled on the football field, man. No freaking way. So anyway, I thought that was completely disgraceful. And the last quick topic that I want to hit you up with before we get out of here ain't got nothing to do with the Bills. I saved it all the way to the end. The Sabres are in the midst of a road trip right now. As we record this, they are in Calgary getting ready to play the Flames. We're recording this before they play Calgary on Monday night. I don't give a shit about the game. The Sabres go win this game 8-2. It's got nothing to do with this game. But what really caught my attention was after practice on Monday, Lindy Ruff spoke to media that was out there covering them. I know Rachel Lindsay from the Buffalo News, Matt Fairburn from The Athletic, a couple others are out there with the team. And Lindy Ruff told reporters about Noah Ostlund got sent down to Rochester over the weekend. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but Lindy Ruff said that it was not because of his play, nothing they did wrong, liked what he was bringing to the table, and the only negative about Ostlund is that he's not here. And that's a clear as day shot to me that I want this guy up here, but my fucking general manager insists on having 3 goaltenders prolonged on this team. 3 goaltenders, none of them have stepped up and won the spot. Nobody has wrestled control over. None of them have played really particularly great. And I don't know, PK, how much I blame any of them because they're not going to really get an opportunity to get into any kind of rhythm. It's just a mess. I know injury played such a big part of, the Sabres, which certainly seem to be headed towards a 15th consecutive. They're dead last. They're in the basement now in the East by 4 points going into this game, at least before we record anyway. But, man, the goaltending has been bad, and you got to put this on Jim for make a goddamn decision, man. Is Ellis that important? What were you going to get in a trade for him if you want to waive him, but you're scared that the Blues are going to claim him back or someone else? Is that worth throwing another season in the gutter? Because it feels that way already, and it's December 8th. Just disgraceful. And Lindy Ruff, my whole point of this all, Lindy Ruff ain't happy about it, and you could tell on Monday, right?
Yeah, 100%. You could tell. I just wish he would have went one step further and said, it's because we got 3 goaltenders on this roster that I'm being forced to keep 3. This feels like a general manager move who is afraid to make a mistake and look bad in the press again, which in turn, which for some reason not thinking that, you already look bad for keeping 3 goaltenders, 3 average at best goaltenders on your roster who can't perform. They've said it how many times? The coaching staff has said it so many times. It doesn't work with 3 goaltenders because you can't build up a rhythm. Like Colton Ellis, thank you for your service. We thought we could have gotten something from you. You look good in a couple starts, but if you go and flourish in St. Louis, that's fine. I'd rather have Ostlund in this lineup. Like, sure, they're probably going to lose the game, but he's fun to watch. It's part of his development. Like, you're letting these guys cook in Rochester too long. They need to be a part of it. Yeah, I'd love to see Jordan Greenway in the top line instead of having freaking Noah Ostlund out there and having 3 goaltenders that you got to scratch one of them. It's insanity, and nothing's going to get done until at least the Buffalo Bills season is wrapped up, because as hell Terry Pagula ain't watching this sport. Like, there's no chance he's watching the Sabres right now. So Kevin Adams' job's safe. He can do whatever the heck he wants until the Bills season's over. Then he got to start worrying. And he doesn't want to have, okay, I cut this goaltender and then he went 6-2 with St. Louis because I released him. He doesn't want that on his resume because that's another negative in his category, even though it's already a negative that you're keeping 3 goaltenders. What other team in the league does this? None. It's a joke of an organization. It's stupid. I hate this team.
I love how you snuck that in there. That's usually something I would do. I wanted to make sure I pull up the exact quote that he said. And then again, this is from Matthew Fairburn. Ruff said there was no, and this is about Ostlund going down. He said there was no negative. The only negative is him going back down. I mean, that sort of shit sounds to me like a, what's going on, Kevin Adams? You know what it is, kind of deal. Is there any chance that, because I don't think Terry Pagula would fire Lindy Ruff again a second time. Is there any chance that if things don't right the ship a little bit soon, so we're at this December 8th, okay? They're in dead last as we record this again. Maybe they'll get 2 points on Monday and you'll wake up and listen to this on Tuesday. And now they got 28 points instead of 26. But anyway, they're 4 points clear of the basement as things stand right now. Now, if you want to be the eternal optimist, you're like, well, they're 8 points still only out of the wild card. The season's not over. Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got to climb 7 teams and get 8 points to get in the playoffs. They're a part of a 6-game road trip. There's a good chance that this team wins their next home game. I got to look right now. Because if you want to see, let's see here. Their next home game is Thursday, December 18th against the Philadelphia Flyers, okay? They're still on the road. Again, Monday night here, they're at Calgary, then they're at Edmonton, then they're at Vancouver and at Seattle. They return home on Thursday the 18th. Let's say they drop 3 of these next 4 on the road, okay? Well, let's say they get 3 out of 8 points, all right? I'll give them a win, and I'll give them an overtime loss or loser point loss, okay? They get 3 out of the next 8 points. They're entrenched now. They're 10, 11 points out of a playoff spot, dead last in the East. They return home on December 18th to play Philly. What do you think that crowd's going to be like on the 18th?
Probably not too happy. Oh. Hopefully it's empty.
What do you do, though? I suggested this on Twitter earlier. Like, what do you do? To me, the home gate attendance is all that matters.
Yep.
And we could sit here, and it's been proven. Kevin Adams and certainly Terry Pegula don't give a shit what Talking Buffalo and what Buffalo Sports Collective and what Maddie 4278 on Twitter and all the fans are bitching and whining and moaning. They don't care. They don't. Home game attendance, embarrassing Terry Pegula, not going to the games, stop buying the tickets, stop going to the games until the owner, who has no accountability, literally, takes action, man. And the last thing I'll say, PK, is there's so many fans right now. I feel like and we've talked, I know you and I have brought the subject up before. I feel like there's so many fans right now that it's not that they even want to root for the teams, that they're afraid not to. They're afraid to not support the team because, well, they'll move. We don't go to the games. They're going to sell the team. He's going to move. He's going to move the franchise. Okay. Well, if he's going to be the owner for the next 20, 30 years, and this is how it's going to be, let him do it. See ya. Fans operating purely out of fear, to me, because the owner will move the team. To me, that's just as whack as running the way they run this team. They stink. And stop putting your money in a team that stinks, that looks like they're making no effort to not stink. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only change that the fans can hope for and hope that they can be a part of is you do not want them broadcasting on MSG an empty arena or tons of seats. Like, it's a bad look for them. It was a bad look for Kevin Adams last year when everybody had the palm trees in the crowd. He didn't want the camera pointed at that because it was an embarrassment to him. Terry Pegula, if there's one thing he doesn't want, is an empty arena. And what would make it even worse is those empty seats, they're going to the opponent's fans. If Toronto comes here, have Toronto sea of blue all around the lower bowl, because there's no way, as much as you are, as much as the camera people are talented, there ain't no way they're able to just show the product on the ice without showing the lower bowl. It ain't happening. Like, do not sell your tickets to the opposing fans. Do not show up. That's the only way that the fans can invoke change with this organization, is stop lining their pockets with money. Like, I know if you already did your season tickets, I get that. Like, I understand it. Sell your tickets to the opposing fans, because that's another way. If you get a whole bowl with opposing fans booing your team every time they touch a puck, that's another way. Like, that's the only way you're going to get any type of change. But I said it on our show the other time, and I know we're wrapping this up. Even if they fire Kevin Adams, who's the guy that's going to be hiring the guy that replaces him? It's the guy that doesn't know how to win. It's Terry Pegula. I don't know what to do. Like, I really don't, because I don't trust the person that's going to be hiring the next apparent to Kevin Adams. It's just, it's a nightmare situation.
Is this season dead already to you? Is it dead? I say this now, watch, they'll probably win 6-2. People are going to wake up to a 6-2 Sabres victory, and they're going to go win 4 of their next 5. They'll get to 5 points within the playoffs. They'll jump 3 of those 7 teams, and then they're going to go lose 4 of their next 6 and be right back to where they are. So I'm telling you that I think this season is already dead. It's dead already. But maybe you don't agree with me, and that's fine if you don't. But I think it's dead. Do you?
It's been dead since last year. I said this team's never make the playoffs again, so I'm sticking with that. I've been right so far for 15 years. So
that's fair. All right, guys, let's put a wrap on this show. If you have not yet checked out Buffalo Sports Collective, make sure that you do. PK, Phil, They absolutely crush it, especially this time of the year. We didn't talk about the Bandits. Season just started. They're off to a 1-0 start. The 3-time defending champion Buffalo Bandits. If you are a Bandits fan, trust me when I tell you, above, the Sabres coverage, the Bills coverage, that's great too. But if you're a Bandits fan, you are literally missing out because unlike these other teams, you don't have a bunch of great outlets. You're a lot more limited in where you can get your sports talk from when it comes to the Bandits. So make sure for no other reason you go check them out for that. Make sure you follow PK on the Twitter machine at PK_BSC, man. Been almost 2 months. I appreciate being, you know what? I'll tell everybody this too in closing. I love the fact that I could call you up on no notice. And as long as you're not, committed to doing something and don't have plans, you're always down to come on and talk sports with me, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate that about you a lot.
No worries. Save me some time going to Home Depot next.
All right, PK. Thank you very much. Like I said, Matt Moran from SB Nation will be joining me on the show tomorrow.